Today, we're diving deep into the minds of two absolute giants, Friedrich Nietzsche and Carl Jung. We're going to explore their radical and, surprisingly practical ideas about a question that pretty much gets to all of us. In a world without any clear directions, how in the world do we find our own way? Okay, so let's just start with this bombshell from Nietzsche. He's not just trying to be provocative here. He's actually setting up a huge problem for us to solve. What if the very things we take for granted as true, our morals, our values, our whole sense of good, are really just fictions we absolutely need in order to live? It's a dangerous idea for sure, and that's exactly where we're going to start. To get through our lives, we all use these, let's call them maps for living, right? There are belief systems, the cultural values we inherit, the moral codes that tell us which way is up and how to behave. And honestly, they give us a lot of comfort and a sense of direction. But, and this is the killer question Nietzsche drops on us, what happens when you start to inspect that map a little more closely? When you realize it wasn't handed down from on high, but was actually drawn by human hands. Hands that were full of biases and instincts and, even errors. This is the wild, uncertain territory he forces us to walk into. So, Nietzsche's first move is basically a demolition job. You can picture him taking a philosophical sledgehammer to the very foundations of Western thought, arguing that for centuries we've been operating on a set of really faulty assumptions. His critique was just so radical. He said, look at these old beliefs versus this new insight. He argued that the belief in antitheses of values, this obsession we have with polar opposites like good and evil, was the fundamental prejudice of all philosophers. He's saying these aren't some cosmic laws, they're human interpretations, and a lot of the time they're born from things like weakness or resentment. And this, right here, this gets to the very heart of it. Nietzsche was convinced that when philosophers claimed they were chasing pure, objective truth, they were usually just building these really sophisticated arguments to justify their own deep-seated instincts. The philosophy wasn't the motive, it was just the alibi. Okay, so this leads us to a really crucial question. If the old map of good and truth is basically a fabrication, then what is the real engine driving us? What's the fundamental force behind everything we do, behind all of life? Nietzsche's answer to this is probably his most famous and maybe his most dangerously misunderstood concept. It's not a will to just survive, and it's definitely not a will to be good. No, it's something way more dynamic than that. He called it the will to power. Now hold on, this is not about political domination or bullying people around. For Nietzsche, this was the deep, creative impulse inside every single living thing. It's in the plant reaching for the sun. It's in the artist creating a masterpiece. It's in an individual overcoming their own limitations. It's simply the drive to become more than what you are right now. To put that another way, it's not a drive for self-protection or just feeling safe. It's about the full, complete flourishing of a person. It's this creative force that actually wants to spend itself, to express all its potential, to become. It's a powerful drive towards growth and self-overcoming. So, Nietzsche has just torn up all the old external maps of morality and truth. He's basically left us in this huge, directionless wilderness. But this is exactly where our second guide, the psychologist Carl Jung, steps in. He suggests that the place to find our bearings isn't out there in the world, it's in here. This is a massive shift in perspective, right? We stop looking for universal external laws to guide us, and we start exploring the vast personal landscape of our own psyche. The whole journey turns inward. See, for Jung, the unconscious wasn't just some Freudian cellar filled with repressed desires. He saw it as a dynamic, creative source of wisdom. It was like a hidden continent inside each of us, holding all the raw materials we need to draw a new, more authentic map for living. Yeah, for Jung, the unconscious isn't just about your past. It's actually forward-looking. It holds the potential for who you could become. And it's trying to talk to you through dreams, through symbols, through intuitions, offering guidance if we can just learn how to listen. And Jung gave a name to this whole process of drawing your new internal map. It's really the journey of a lifetime. And he called it individuation.
To put it simply, individuation is the journey to become the person you were always meant to be. It's about moving beyond all the social masks we wear and integrating every part of yourself, the good, the bad, the light, the dark, into one complete functioning whole.
So, how does it work? Well, the journey begins when you finally accept that your conscious ego isn't the whole story. Then comes the really hard part, confronting your shadow, all those parts of yourself you've pushed away or disowned. It means integrating what Jung called the anima or animus, your inner feminine or masculine. And ultimately, it all leads to learning how to hear and trust that authentic inner voice over all the noise of the crowd. Now, listen to this quote from Nietzsche for a second. He talks about the select man creating his own values in isolation, totally free from the herd mentality. He's describing an individual who forges his own path. And now listen to Jung. The language is a bit different, but the core idea is, well, it's stunningly similar, isn't it? Both Nietzsche's higher man and Jung's individuated person have to turn away from the collective, away from convention, to go on this difficult, unpopular, but absolutely essential journey of self-creation. So, where does all this leave us? We've gone on this incredible journey from Nietzsche's complete demolition of the old world to Jung's blueprint for building a grand new inner one. What this all boils down to is that these aren't just abstract philosophical ideas. Think of them as tools. Nietzsche comes in and clears the ground of all the hand-me-down values, and then Jung comes along and provides a method for discovering your own. It's a deeply personal quest to create your own meaning, not just find it prepackaged. And Jung reminds us that this isn't some passive process. It demands conscious choice. It requires the courage to actually say, this is my path, and to take full responsibility for that choice, with all the difficulty and all the uncertainty that comes with it. So we're gonna end not with an answer, but with a question for you. In those quiet moments when you're away from all the demands of the world, what is that authentic self, that inner voice trying to tell you about the map that you need to draw for yourself?